Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Thomas Schröck, the natural gem. I'm here with two gentlemen. I'm very happy that we have them here. Welcome to Angelo Robles, an international expert for family offices who joins us here in Europe. And I also welcome Bennii Wolf, content creator, and he likes to ask questions, and that's what he will do to us. So, Benni, what are you doing?
Today I'm asking you some questions, but mainly as a content creator I make videos online and I randomly ask questions to people on the street and make kind of funny videos and challenges, stuff like that with the people on the street. That's nearly everything I do.
Welcome. Great.
Thanks for having me here today.
Thank you.
So we can start?
Yeah, I think so.
My first question to you both is, what do you do for a living?
Do you want to start, Angelo?
I want to ask people funny questions on the street too. I want to change my profession. Yours is a lot more fun. What do? I work with families that have been incredibly successful, some newer to their wealth and success, and some theoretically hundreds of years. They create something called a family office to manage their legacy, their heritage, their wealth, their resources, which are more than just financial. They're the resources that I also mentioned in terms of their name, their legacy, and their brand. So it's an opportunity to work with the rising generations, the younger members in the family, understand what's important to them, and to help the family fulfill what they want to do moving forward as a successful family.
Thanks for the information. Later on I will ask specific questions to that.
I will try to answer them.
Thanks. Thomas, what do you do for a living?
Well, I have also to do with things which are quite old, ideal gemstones, precious gemstones for investment purposes. So our clients are a little bit similar. So we deal with stones which safeguard wealth in the long run. That means rubies, sapphires and emeralds. These are the oldest investment possibilities we have on Earth in both ways. They are between 10 million and 4 billion years old on the one hand side. And on the other hand side, they are in use for investment for more than 4,500 years. So that is what I do now for 32 years.
That's really interesting. My first question to you both is, what do you think is important to gain financial success and to keep the wealth you have?
Most people that become incredibly successful or wealthy, usually there are some exceptions. We now hear of the world's best football players, what we would call soccer in the US, getting offers to be billionaires in 1 or 2 years playing the sport. So times have changed. But generally speaking, people become incredibly wealthy by starting a business that they have desire and passion, a business that they grow, and the opportunity. If you go into it, I want to make a lot of money, you probably won't. They do it because they have competency in a specific area, they have desire and passion, they have discipline, and they put in the work. And perhaps a little bit of luck and other dynamics, market and timing, plays into that. They are resilient. They don't give up easy. They stay focused, but they're not married exactly to the ideas that might have worked yesterday or the year before. You're young, you're dynamic. What you're doing in terms of social media, that really wasn't around at all like 20 to 25 years ago, and really was kind of the iPhone, which was only 2008. I was already about 4 billion years old then, speaking of 4 billion years. Like, this, times are changing rapidly. So every entrepreneur, investor needs to adapt with the times. And that relates also to preserving wealth. We talk about here in Europe where land, gems, gold, art, those have withstood the test of time more than hundreds of years, in many ways, thousands of years. But I do think there needs to be adapt to currently what's happening in the world. including technologies like there wasn't Bitcoin and crypto not that many years ago. And now that could be a part of a portfolio, investing in public companies. So families need to constantly adapt. They need to iterate. They need to change, but never forget some of the foundational successes that made them a successful family. And some of those investments, including the 4 that I noted, again, have withstood the test of thousands of years.
Interesting. Thomas, could you give us your opinion on that?
Well, I completely agree with you, and I want to start with a quote. The quote is, people overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year, and they always underestimate what they can achieve in 7 years. Now think about it. If we do not calculate in 7 years, if we calculate in 10, 20, 30, or maybe 300 years, so that's one part of the answer. And I completely agree with Angelo to everything he said, and I would add one thing for success and for maintaining success and wealth, and that's fun. Yeah? I think things which supply us with fun, with some excitement, will work. Everything you think you have to do will not do that. So there's passion, I think, especially for the founders of a family, wealth, which they bring in. And if you speak with successful people, this passion is still there.
Can you share a specific challenge you faced in your journey as a business owner and in general, and how your mindset played a role with it and to overcome it?
It's probably related to one of the things that I said in answering the last question. We're all going to come across as entrepreneurs, whether we're a single person business or grow a business substantially, to obstacles. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. Things are going to go wrong. Not everything is going to go our way. Life will get in the way of the plan, effectively, that we had. The ability to be resilient generally tends to be a trait. You could call that perseverance. There's a variety of names, but I think we all know at the heart what it means. We need to overcome, we need to get knocked down, and we need to get up. When you look back at even Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, one of the 5 largest companies in the world, and again, really just in the last 20 years when it was created, it's amazing. And again, times are changing rapidly. But how it looked when he was at Harvard and what he was developing at that point iterated and changed. Some things worked and some things didn't. And then expanding and growing that. I would probably also say no one does it alone, including him. The opportunity to have different mindset from partners and investors to people that have been down that road before. In his case, I would think of Sean Parker. I would think of Peter Thiel, who were all early mentors and investors in terms of what he did. Now, he gets the credit, and absolutely, most of it, the success or failure would lie on him. But the opportunity of, we all have blind spots, identifying them, moving your ego aside, and having an opportunity to surround yourself with smart people, often, and they should be, probably, at least in certain areas, smarter than you. But at the end of the day, you have to make the decision. And a lot of people don't like to make decisions because that could have a negative consequence. But that's okay. No one's perfect. You make a decision, it didn't work out, you learn from it, you move forward. So being resilient, overcoming challenges, to me, is probably number 1.
Thomas, do you have tips for young entrepreneurs or people in your industry?
Number 1, Angelo, you should write a book. And my first advice would be to read it. That's number 1.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm gonna write it now. I could sell a couple million copies.
Yeah, of course, I think so. Well, yeah, number 1, the development of a company, of an enterprise, is never a linear thing. It's not a line which is straight forward to the future. It's ups and downs. It's, if I think of my past, it's nights of not getting sleep because there are some challenges we haven't faced before. Owning a company, running a company is very often stepping outside your comfort zone. Usually you face problems you haven't faced before in this form. Another hint maybe is an important hint, one you mentioned is look for the right people around you, maybe more smart, more clever than I am, and hire them. Number two, manage growth. I had situations where the growth of the company was too big, where it was overwhelming. So manage that, foresee it. And number three is a very simple one. If you're an entrepreneur, manage liquidity. Profit is one thing, profit is great, it must be there. But on the other hand side, the even more important, the short run, is to manage the liquidity of your company. So these are some hints.
Thanks for the tips and insights. Can you both of you share any valuable lessons in both successful and unsuccessful investments you made?
I don't know if I want to admit to anything, but there's a whole bunch. I have to think of, well, okay, I will give you one. And you did say specifically that we made, so I could take it to the perspective of the thousands of incredibly successful people that I know. By the way, the best ones are the ones that lead with the mistakes that they made. They don't need to brag and prove to you, well, I made this investment and it made so much money. They all make mistakes. So, given that you may also have a younger audience, there's certain things that I could relate to them. You wouldn't guess that. A couple of years ago, I got very active in the world of crypto. Not just Bitcoin and Ethereum, much more. I don't know why, but even Shiba Inu. Dogecoin, and NFTs. And what I would recommend to people from the investing perspective, you should form a thesis, make a decision, move forward. But you should probably manage your allocation. So maybe you put, depending on your wealth, a little under 1%, very small. Get comfortable with it. And then maybe that grows or you put more. But you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. I put a lot of eggs in the NFT basket. Definitely more than I should. More than 10%, more than 20%, shockingly more than 30%. I'm not going to mention the exact percentage. And it looked like when the markets are going up, we all look great. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't just feed our ego, it makes us think that we're smarter than we really are. And then, yeah, sure, 2020, 2021 really wasn't that long ago. It's going up 5, 10, 20 times in 1 year. Like, you're a genius. Look at on paper, I'm so rich. Probably the right thing to do would have been, I made a good decision, but I kind of got lucky as well. And now it's making up a larger percentage of my portfolio. I should probably be happy and sell and cash out. Okay, I'm going to pay taxes, but I rather have a lot of money that I'm paying taxes on than no money that I owe no taxes. So unfortunately, although I did liquidate a little, and net crypto was positive for me. It just wasn't the ridiculously positive that it was during parts of 2020 and 21. So the mistake that I made was a little bit of FOMO, a little bit of not cashing out my chips. And then unfortunately, the concept of NFTs, which we discussed in some of my meetings here, including some of our discussion, the technology behind blockchain and NFTs is very viable. It will sustain, it will last. It is already changing the world. But as a digital art perspective, it probably didn't work out so well, but that story's not fully done yet. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. But at the end of the day, my mistake was I let it ride too long. I thought it was my genius. It wasn't. I should have liquidated and had single digits, maybe 5 or 10% at the most, and I had too much. But that's my mistake, and we all have them. I think that's a more important lesson than successes. But if I had to give you one, it could be the same. It could be 2020, 21. I actually got in very early in Shiba Inu. So for me, I probably had a 300x return in about a 7 or 8 month period. And I left it in. So in that 18-month period, I had my greatest success, which I probably didn't really earn, and I had my greatest failure, which I actually probably did deserve.
Thomas, did you step already in the crypto market?
Yes. Honestly, not knowing anything, I started 21 because everybody, my friends, they told me, you must. And it was, I remember very well, it was the day before Christmas. My office was closing. It was the 23rd of December, 21. And I was sitting in my office and nothing to do, nothing left. And I opened an account and I bought crypto. And my way of deciding was, that sounds good, I should buy that. So it was Bitcoin, it was Ethereum, it was 8 or 9 other coins. The 8 or 9 other coins we forget. Yeah. But yeah, it was...
I understand.
It was not much money, it was I think 10,000 or 15,000 altogether. And Ethereum and Bitcoin, they were successful. It was not my success. Yeah? And I kept them and I was very lucky. I didn't manage it in any way, but I sold them for 50,000. So it was 4 or 5 times, but that was pure luck.
Tremendous.
It's tremendous. It was luck, not more. You asked me some other success stories or success stories I would have liked to have. One is I started dealing with gemstones in the year 1991. At this time, gemstones, or let's say semi-precious stones, as we called them, colored stones at this time, had no value. That means you bought tourmaline in rough form in an oil barrel. And one oil barrel full of rough tourmaline from Brazil was roughly 5,000 US, roughly. I didn't have the money and I didn't keep it. Now we did a calculation half year back, and nowadays this barrel, if you would cut it, the stones, it would be $2 million. Because especially these stones, which were not highly appreciated, they were not rubies, not diamonds, not sapphires, they were just side stones. They got appreciated so much, I missed it completely. Yeah? When I started Mozambique Rubies to trade, 2010, 1 carat was $800. Now it's 8,000 to 15,000. I have some left. This is one from the first patch of Mozambique. That's a real ruby, yeah. It's 1 carat stone, natural, untreated, and this I also missed. But that's also the danger of being a trader, because I want to make money, I have to run my business, and so I buy stones, I sell stones. I'm not a museum to keep them. So in this form and way, I missed a lot of possibilities, but I saw a lot of nice stones.
Thanks for your lessons. My last question for both of you is, how do you maintain work-life balance while running successful businesses and investments?
Being very generous by saying a successful business, by the way. So to give your audience a little bit of context, I did build a successful business in Family Office Association, which I launched what feels like many a decade ago, but not even quite 20 years, as an organization dedicated to the family office community, not just in the United States where I'm based, but globally. And that gave me the experiences not only meeting amazing families, but the opportunity of kind of learning probably more from them than they learned from me. And I sold my interest in that, took a little time off to travel, learn from my mistakes, to be humbled, and then the opportunity to launch my current initiatives, Family Office Masterclass, my media program at Family Office TV. I guess I like the word family office. That's what I do. And SFO, which stands for Single Family Office Continuity. So for me, those are very, very important things, but I do feel like I'm an entrepreneur again. You know, I was becoming the bureaucracy of a relatively larger company, at least in my community. And I think my blade got a little dulled. I don't think I did a great job in my last year or two there. And looking back, you have to realize that the mistakes that I make, even now, as we identified I'm, what, 4 billion years old now? The oldest vampire on Earth. How about that? Understanding the mistakes, realizing them, and moving forward. But to me, being an entrepreneur, not being under the thumb of someone else, having the freedom, it wasn't about making a lot of money to me. That's always good. If that's a byproduct, that's great. I define freedom as having the opportunity where I could work where I want to work. I could go where I want to go. I'm responsible for my own failure, which has happened, and my own success. And to me, that was invigorating. And I've worked in larger companies before, multiple, back in my younger days. You had a more specific point, though, I think, relative to younger people. If you don't mind, if you could repeat that.
Yeah. How do you maintain a
work-life balance.
Yeah.
Okay, that got me excited now. Especially to the younger audience. Don't be an idiot. You can't have work-life balance. You have to make a decision, in my opinion. Now, I'm from a different era. No, I'm not old enough to be a baby boomer, but I'm pretty close. I gave away my age. I guess I'm not 4 billion years old, although many of you may think so. But I'm kind of close. It sounds good, and I understand. And I've had family. I have a son. He's 20. And I had time to spend with him traveling, going to his sporting events, and that's great. So yes, I guess I had some work-life balance, but I think the challenge that I see in the younger people now, and my son is one, he's 20. So we define as Generation Z. They're educated, they're tech savvy, they're so natural in social media and things like that. But I want to work when I want to work. And I don't see, and maybe Thomas will agree with me, I sacrificed. I got up at 5 o'clock. I worked till 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, US time. So that means I slept 4 to 5 hours. I didn't go out nights I wanted to go out. I needed to do what I needed to do for my passion, which was my company. I don't see how you could be an entrepreneur, how you could build a great company, and how you could have, at least in the first 5 or 10 years, I don't think you could really have work-life balance. But maybe I don't know how to do it, and other people do it better than me. So you have to make a decision, and for me, that decision was to focus on work, because work satisfied my purpose. It made me money. Money created a level of freedom and flexibility for me, but I had to make sacrifices in the early years that I was an entrepreneur.
What do you think about work-life balance, Thomas?
Thank you very much. I was thinking how to put it in words which are gentle. You were not gentle. Thank you very much. I agree completely. Yeah, work-life balance is an interesting term. At the moment, I agree. I start work at 6 in the morning, and usually I end at 10 p.m. And in between there is, apart from lunch, which is also part of meetings, there is no rest, there is no break. Yes, I do some sports. A very short holiday for me is if I go out with my partner for dinner. We both like to go to star restaurants to dine out, so we define this as a short holiday. It's 3 hours of no mobile phone. Not even a blink at it, nothing. It is private time. We define private times at home. Yes, in early days, I liked boating, but nowadays almost no time to do boating. And I agree completely, there should be passion for your enterprise. If you're the owner, you are the owner, and you run the business. And there is no excuse for it. One of my mistakes, we were speaking about mistakes, were when I thought I can hand over power to other people to run in an early stage a company. It didn't work out. That was one of my mistakes. So I agree fully, the first 5 to 10 years as an entrepreneur, there is nothing like life balance. Yeah? Take care of yourself, that means eat well, sleep well, do sports. And if you have a relationship, a partnership, get clear that she or he agrees to you and what you are doing. It will not work if your partner doesn't go with you. We have the agreement that also my partner comes here to the company if we have events, that we even go home separately because different times and so on, but there's an agreement. And it's kind of a negotiation, kind of a regulation how you do it. So work-life balance at the beginning of a company, what's that?
Thanks for an interesting point of view. Now I have 3 different questions for both of you. So I'll start with Tom and then we go to Angelo, if that's okay. Tom, how did you get a passion in the gemstone industry?
It was not in the gemstone industry. My father went hunting when I was 8 years old, and he brought a small piece of rock crystal from the Austrian Alps. And me as a young guy, 8 years old, I was absolutely fascinated about this stone. And I started collecting minerals. Mm-hmm. My parents were so friendly and went collecting stones in the Alps with me, Carinthia, Styria, Salzburg, and that's where it started. By the age of 12, I started collecting cut stones. By the age of 14, my father told me, that's too expensive, do something that you finance it yourself. And I committed. I illegally started trading by the age of 15 and opened my first business by the age of 20. So this is how it started.
So you started by having an interest in stones in general?
Absolutely. And it's still there. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I would change the question directly to you, Angelo. How did you get interested in the family office space, or how did you get in the family office space?
Interesting question. And I'm going to answer it a little indirectly than directly. Yeah. And I'm going to actually change one of the things that I said earlier to a question that you had, but it relates to this question. So first of all, you don't necessarily need to have a passion to be successful as an entrepreneur per se. Meaning one of the wealthiest global families I know, multiple billions of dollars, they're in the cement business. Mm-hmm. Do you think he actually loves and was dreaming as a child, I want to be in the cement business. This is so exciting. People are going to flock to me. There's going to be a tremendous amount of money. So now you need to have a purpose and have discipline, and you need to understand the industry and put in the work, of course. But I wouldn't say you necessarily, so I'm going to change my earlier answer a little bit. I would say it helps, sure. If you love gems, which you discovered at a young age, and that gave you the passion coupled with your purpose and your discipline, that is like perfect. That's like the holy grail. But for most people, it's not quite that linear, also a word that you used earlier. And again, I don't think there's anyone out there that would love something like the cement business. They love the money they may be making from it, but I wouldn't say it was going to be a passion. So for me, I actually didn't come into the family office community, which is a tiny little fragment, the so-called super rich, until I was actually in my early 40s. Like I was already like into a career multiple different times and being an entrepreneur. I mean, I could try to be funny and say that's a unique age because you're not young, but you're not old. And if you're looking to transition, that's not an easy age and an easy time to do it. And it's gotten worse in the time since then, comparative to whatever 15 or 20 years ago. The opportunity for me, I've been fascinated by entrepreneurs. I have been fascinated by wealth and money and kind of the nuances around that in families. So that always interested me. And I've worked broadly in wealth management for a number of years. And I got some familiarity with family offices. But for me, I also looked at it as an opportunity. There was not a lot of companies at that time, there's more now, that were doing what I'm doing as a deeper thinker or researcher, putting critical thinking to what I thought were unique problems, and hosting programming and looking to help those people in a variety of different ways. So for me, I simply looked at it more from a business perspective, perhaps more than passion. But what I will say is the passion came. And I think it's hard to put in the grind of getting up at 5 and working past midnight day after day and never taking a break I did go on amazing, because I hosted events around the world. So I went to amazing locations, but could I ever say in near 20 years that I literally took 3 or 4 days off and never looked at the phone, never checked an email? No, never. So it became kind of a passion for me, but I wouldn't say that I went into it per se, that it was going to be a passion. Having some success and making money, funny how that seems to make you more passionate about things. So that did kind of help.
Then the last question for both of you. Can you share a memorable experience or story that you had in your time running this business?
Well, there are several. One part of my business is meeting successful people, successful families. And I agree completely with Angelo. I like to listen to them. I like to ask questions. What do you think? How do you think? How do you structure your day? How do you do your business? How do you live? Not, I don't mean the house, but how is it? How you construct your life. That's one very interesting part of my business. Number two, I meet a lot of people from different countries, from India, Thailand, Pakistan, with different backgrounds. That makes the gemstone business also very interesting. The different approaches, the different backgrounds. So it's on the one hand side customers, on the other one hand side suppliers. I had a great mentor. My oldest supplier in India, he passed away last year. He was a mentor for me for 34 years. He was a very religious, strong believing Hindu in the best way. And I really enjoyed the philosophical discussions with him over the years. It was not only about stones, it was also about living, way of living, philosophy. So if you ask me, this is one of my memorable moments, many of them, sitting in Mumbai in India over masala chai and speaking about the world and about thinking and not about stones alone. Yeah? I give you one of his thoughts. It's not right according to mineralogical thinking. One of his ideas was gemstones are always growing, all the time, but we harvest them too early.
A billion years too early.
Oh yeah! Shows a different kind of thinking in India, yeah?
Angelo, do you have a specific story? It's a time from a family office manager.
From a memorable perspective, I don't know if I have one specific story, but having met so many amazing people, having hosted over 400 events around the world, you do see some interesting things that happen, some of them good and some of them maybe not so good. But I have multiple, I think it's 4 now, of people that met and have gotten married. Now, let's not talk about maybe a divorce attorney and they're going to have a field day with super rich people like a lot of the people that I deal with. But I've had people that got married that have had children that met at my program and my events. I've had hundreds of people interact and do business together. And a little bit of a wrapping up on the memorable note, I've had hundreds of families that know they're successful and want to give back and want to help those that either teach entrepreneurship, give back financially, charitably, or philanthropically, or whatever maybe that word passion again, whatever their passion is, understanding that their wealth could benefit their community, their country, and broadly people in society. So that makes me feel good when I see that people come together, they do good things together, perhaps they're getting married and having a family and creating a new legacy. And that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for me being fortunate to be able just to kind of host and put something together, and the opportunity for families to contribute, like I said, charitably and through their foundation work of doing good. And of course, that makes you feel good and keeps me motivated to be passionate in terms of what I do.
Thanks for answering my questions.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. You saw it was a great pleasure. Thank you very much to Angelo coming over from the United States to us. Thank you, Benni, for asking the questions and looking forward to see you again.